All right, I want to show you a quick tip about something you have to remember to do properly in this second assignment. This is the first time that we're dealing with input that is dealing with numbers. And I've already talked about this in the overall instructions on input, so it's just a quick reminder. And that is this time you are getting numbers, and of course you might make the numbers look different than this, but just as an example, I'm getting two numbers. I want to add those two numbers together. And this is the thing though, every time you do input, Python automatically sets the data type of our input. And what does it set it to? So even if I put a number here and I put another number here, the data type that it's dealing with is a string. And we can't add strings. I mean, you can add strings, but you're not going to like the result, right? Um, because I'm going to get funny results when I try to add strings. Because when I add 3 plus 4, I get 34. And so we don't want to do that. And so you have to remember to do this thing that we call data casting. Or typecasting would be another way to talk about that. Data type casting means converting the data type. And we don't want this to be a string, we want it to be an integer or a floating point number. And so we say in here, this is going to be an integer. So it first takes it here, puts it in as a string, and then converts it to an integer. And we could do the same thing with that one. If we only did it with one of them, we'd get really weird results because we'd have a number plus a string, and then that would just give us an error. So if we're going to do it to one, we better make sure we do it to both. All right, now it's 7 instead of 34. So just remember to think that through. Now, also think through, do I want these to be integers, or am I okay with the person entering in a float? Theoretically, float is better, because why limit it to integers? If you do float, you can still enter an integer. So if I say float, I can still enter 3. It's not going to give me an error. And 4, the only difference is it gives us a 0.0 at the end because it's keeping track of significant digits. So it always wants to say that. So if you think to yourself, maybe the user's going to want to put in numbers, decimal points, and figure out how to add decimals, then I'll ask for floats. In this class, we often deal with integers because it's, simpler to think about, but there's no reason you couldn't just default all the time to think about floats instead. And that's really the main tip here. I'm going to give a tip about kind of the order of how to do things in this program in the next tip.